Today, a Senate committee decided a bill clarifying what local governments can and cannot do when it comes to regulating short-term rentals. Well, it needs a bit more work. Committee members say they want to make sure it protects renters, but not at the expense of property owners' rights. Abby Davis went to that hearing this afternoon. Abby, it was a near repeat of what happened last session.
Right, Brian. In 2024, lawmakers in the House sent a similar bill back for changes, but it eventually died. The bill sponsors are hopeful this legislation will make it through despite the pushback.
One only has to look at the 4 lives that were lost in 2017 near Donley.
Lawmakers heard about the tragic fire officials blamed on an uncapped propane line from City of Ketchum spokesperson Jade Riley Thursday. The people who died rented the place.
That's all we're really interested in is both the people visiting these short-term rentals and their neighbors are safe.
Riley was testifying against Senate Bill 1162, which prevents cities and counties from adding rules for short-term rentals that don't apply to regular homes. A Senate committee eventually sent it back for amendments.
I do look at this, that there's a balance here that has to be struck between local control with our city governments and counties versus property rights.
I think the legislation could use a little bit of work, but I think there's a lot of important things in here.
This is a negotiated piece of legislation.
The bill is an updated version of a bill Representative Jordan Redmond tried to push through last year.
We've seen around the state certain local jurisdictions essentially ban short-term rentals because of over-regulation. So requiring a short-term rental to have like a fire suppression system, which is like $30,000 compared to a long-term rental not having to, or changing the zoning so that they can't operate a short-term rental where they can do a long-term rental.
All these things are just trying to make it as difficult as possible.
Melissa Radford owns several short-term rentals in North Idaho.
The implication that we're, nuisances or unsafe or don't want to protect our guests is just not true.
Hopefully we can have some amendments that are agreeable to both parties.
Although Redmond hopes this bill stays alive, we don't know when and if the full Senate will take up an amended version. Historically, this time of year is when the session starts to wind down, so the clock is ticking as well for these later bills, Brian.
That's true. When it winds down completely, I don't know when that's going to happen, but we'll see if any of these bills advance. All right, thank you very much, Abby.